Welcome to Nine Players. What'd I do last time?
You didn't clap.
I didn't clap.
You got.
And that makes it official. Welcome to Nine Players Cast, the video game book club podcast on YouTube. This is Player 9, and with me today are...
Martin.
Scotty.
And our
Nathan.
new guest, Nathan.
Oh, that's me!
Alright, so today we're going to be talking about... this is going to be a one-off episode. It's not going to be the same book club format that we normally do. So what that means is we're not going to do a part 2 of this, unless we have something really good to say. We're not going to do a part 2 of this. We're just going to do the part 1, where we're going to be talking about Super Mario Galaxy and Friends. And by and Friends, I mean the related games and how this game relates to those games. But we'll get to that in just a moment. Today, our sponsor is... We don't have a sponsor.
I have a sponsor.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Burger King's rib sandwich. It's just like the rib sandwich at McDonald's, except all year round.
I feel like you should have listened to the previous cast where I explained the difference between an endorsement and a sponsor.
Wait.
Since they're not giving us any money.
All of it's about food. Like,
It's all about food. We're being
Games and
endorsed by
food.
ShamWow.
No, see, first you get the rib sandwich, and then you're like, how am I supposed to play video games with rib sauce all over me? ShamWow. Boom. Product
ShamWow.
integration.
That's right. Endorsement, $500. YouTube go. Selling out. Welcome
YouTube,
to ShamWow
please.
Cast.
You're gonna love our nuts.
you're gonna love our nuts. It's pretty obvious here.
So, a bit of background. We have some controversial opinions on this game, particularly Super Mario Galaxy versus Super Mario Galaxy 2 versus every other Mario game in the franchise. And that's basically going to be the focus of our talk today. First part of the topic. How did you guys get introduced to this game?
Okay. Well, obviously, by the time that I was in high school, I was pretty on the ball with video games in general. And when E3 hit, I saw all the really cool footage of Mario Galaxy 1, and I was really excited about it.
By on the ball, you mean...
I mean, I was like, if a new piece of information came out, I knew about it.
Plugged in, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much anything Nintendo related, I knew, and then everything else, I kind of knew. Like, I was just, I was pretty much the go-to person at school for information.
He was Nintendo powering.
So, I'm going to assume we've all basically found out about it through E3 and stuff like that, right? Because that was back when G4 and Attack of the Show and all that stuff was actually good.
Yep. That's how I found out about it. I was sitting at home watching the G4 coverage, and I just remember Adam Sessler like frothing at the mouth and talking about how it's the second coming of video games, and I'm like, yeah, it just might be.
What about you, Scotty? How did you find out about Mario?
I kind of bummed it off my brother. Like, he got it for Christmas one year, and I was never really too big of a fan of the Mario franchises. And as weird as that is, I've always kind of more of a Sonic dude. So when Galaxies came out, I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. I'm really big into whole space and everything. And
I'm into space. Mario seems like a good idea.
Exactly. Same. It was kind of the same thought process behind Angry Birds Space, I guess. I like space. Let's see what kind of crappy spin-off they have for it. It was that kind of thought process.
Oh, okay. Honestly, I didn't expect you to say I didn't expect that.
Actually, I have an addendum to my answer as well.
Addendum.
Yes.
Go for it.
So at the time, I was working in a electronics store, and Nintendo had sent a Wii to demo Mario Galaxy before it had come out. So I think the game came out in November, and so it was like, October that they sent us this demo to play. And so I had actually probably played and demoed the game easily 10 to 15 hours before I had ever actually gotten to play it for myself when I bought the copy. So I was extremely familiar and excited, and sort of like I knew that feeling that the game was going to provide well in advance of when it came out, which I thought was really cool.
That brings me to my next segue, actually, since you just described that. Martin and Scotty, what was your first feeling with this game? Like, when you first played it, the first, 10 minutes when you first played Mario Galaxy, what was that like?
For me, I was enjoying the heck out of it, but I was always kind of waiting for that whoa moment.
The whoa moment, like something to blow you off your feet.
Yeah, like, it was cool that you were in a spherical world, and it was cool that they had, you could just walk around them. But I was waiting for that Super Mario 64 like whoa feeling. Like this is cool.
For our video game hermits in the audience, who wants to explain what the hell is Mario Galaxy?
Okay, so Mario Galaxy is a Super Mario game. It's a 3D platformer, but 3D is put to like the hugest like emphasis because this is the first Mario game where gravity is like the gimmick, where you have all these little planetoids and all these floating platforms in space, and you can manipulate Mario around these platforms, and so you can just like you can be underneath a block and run around in a circle all the way around it. It's really cool.
Imagine if Mario was roughly like a tenth of the size of the moon, and how that would look if you looked out into the sky at the moon.
Yeah.
And just like him walking around it.
Giant Italian.
He can essentially
jumping on the moon.
His mustache creates solar eclipses. And so he could basically orbit like a satellite around all the different levels of the game. And
So
this
game is basically Super Mario the demigod.
Yes, Super Mario in space.
He is all powerful. Notice that because he's breathing in space, like it's not a fucking problem. He's just like, yeah, it's cool.
Well, this is the second time that's been established as canon for Mario. Actually, he's been in space several times before.
The Mario Land 2, didn't he have to wear a helmet that he can also float around in?
Yeah, and still get his like bunny ear power ups, and that still worked in space.
I'm pretty sure that he actually freaked out in one of the original scenes of the movie when he was in space, but because he gets that little Luna companion, he like got imbued with the power of the Luna. I think they like briefly glossed over that and like, oh yeah, he can breathe because of Luna magic.
Okay, then explain Peach at the end of the game when you save her from Bowser, how they're just floating around in space.
Bowser magic.
That's the power of love, right?
Did they Superman that shit? Where as long as like you're touching somebody part of Superman, like you just get his powers.
Exactly.
Right.
Like,
is it kind of like the same kind of love magic where like in Captain Planet they had that one guy who had heart, where it just made no fucking sense.
Heart.
Yeah, heart.
There was one episode where it became handy. It was specifically designed to show people it wasn't useless, and it was during a forest fire.
yeah, all that episode did was further emphasize the fact that he was useless. It was like, oh wow, so here's the one thing he can actually do, and it's kind of pointless. Like, oh wow, I really hate him now.
He is like the Aquaman of the Captain Planet series.
He was. He's
like, you do what? You talk to fish? Cool.
Dude, he can talk to fish too, though. So he's actually better than Aquaman. he can talk to not fish.
Talk to not fish. New standards in superheroism. Not fish.
Not fish.
So there is... Okay, next topic is the power-ups in Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. What? Bumblebee suit? Seriously?
Yeah. These suits are getting out of hand. And they're getting out of hand really fast.
Yeah, the suits have never really done anything for me, even like way back when. The power-ups have never mattered.
Yeah, I don't know when Nintendo thought Mario was about the suits and not about the actual, like, worlds.
I think the hats in Mario 64, they kind of got high on themselves, and they're like, we need more hats. Well, what's better than a hat? How about a whole jumpsuit?
They're like the only... I don't know.
Pretty soon, Mario will be getting house power-ups in the different houses that he lives in.
Is it weird? I don't know if I'm the only one who went there with that, but like with the Tanuki tail and like the whole bee costume thing, I don't know if they're just like very kind of subvertly going for like furry cosplay type thing with Mario. What's going on?
No,
I doubt it.
Mario Brothers 3 started the trend with suits with special powers, and like that was cool because it was like a one-off gimmick. And then Mario World introduced the cape, and that was literally the only other power-up you had on there other than the original power-ups. And then Mario 64 came out, and then you had hats. You had Metal Mario, Flying Mario, and you had Invisible Mario. And hats are pretty cool. And then you had the Flood. Now, those were your power-ups back then. Flood was taking Kazooie and throwing her to the side for a brand new, like, sidekick.
There's another bear!
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like you don't get any special powers. You just have this flood. And
Banjo.
then I don't know why they thought they'd go back to start doing suits again.
Well,
But
I played the new Super Mario World for the Wii U at E3 a couple weeks ago,
Me
and
too.
they've got the cat suit now. I was really
So-
mad when I first saw it.
Yeah, me too.
When I actually played it, I kind of put on the hat of like, it's a video game. I want to have fun. Like, let's just try it. If you just sort of let go of the fact that it's really, really stupid, it actually, it kind of brings out like that childhood whimsy, and it's just cute. And like, I played Princess Peach, and so when she gets the cat, like, she still has her float power, right? So when she floats as a cat, she's like scurrying on like invisible glass floor. So that's how she floats, and it's just like the cutest thing ever. So
Yeah,
that made me slightly more okay with it.
You really have to play. You really have to play with the cat powers before you really feel like, okay, it's not that ridiculous.
What do the cat powers do exactly? I have not really heard of it.
It lets you do like when you jump, and then attack. Like normally Mario would do like that midair kick sort of thing.
Yeah.
You do like a really fast, low angled pounce. So you can almost like abruptly stop your ascent and then do like a nosedive sort of thing. And then you can also climb up walls that you should not be able to climb up. Like you can scurry for, I don't know, maybe like 5 lengths of yourself up a wall before you slide back down.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
The thing that I was not okay with about it, because it's like sacrilegious in my mind, is
I know what you're trying to talk about.
if you don't hit the top of the flag pole at the end of every level, if you're a cat, you scurry up it and still get the 1-up.
What?
Aw.
Oh, yeah.
That is hacks.
That doesn't seem right. That's sacks.
One thing I really want to point out that's a little off topic about Mario World, Super Mario World 3D World or whatever it's called.
New Super Mario 3D Land World.
Okay,
It's a sequel to Prologue.
Did you notice the power ups for the power up suits for Peach? Did you notice her fire? Yeah, if you give her a fire flower, did you get to notice how she looks?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, dude, it's really awesome. You should take a look. It's like one of the coolest dresses I've ever seen Peach in.
You
Just
would
really-
notice specifically the
kidding.
dress of
Oh
a
my
female
God.
video game character.
Her dress is so awesome.
Dude,
Like,
Her
how
suit
have
is-
none of you have been interested? It's the first time Peach has ever had fire flower powers.
get the firepower.
And all of a sudden, you're gonna judge me.
all of a sudden,
I was too busy enjoying the fact that all 4 players that I was playing with were on the back of a giant Loch Ness Yoshi monster, like skydiving over waterfalls. That's kind of what I was interested
See,
in.
that sounds really epic.
They should have brought back Nessie for that.
Nessie.
I thought it was Dory.
Dory?
I thought the name of this Mario 64 Loch Ness monster was Dory.
I don't know.
To the Google.
I'm looking this up.
to the
Okay.
Google. Meanwhile, while Googling, bosses of Galaxy.
Yep, it's
Forgettable.
Dory.
I think they're forgettable.
Yeah, they are pretty forgettable. Like, it was kind of cool. Like, if I remember correctly, they incorporated the gravity thing a little bit into it, but really not.
Yeah, for most of the boss, it's like am I getting this wrong? But like the octopus boss, like it was more about the spin attacks and shaking the nunchuck.
Like even you saying the octopus boss brings no images up to my brain.
Yeah,
There's an octopus boss. I think
He had a crown and a little cloak.
I think it's in both Mario Galaxy games. I think he's in both.
I have a good example.
And
So-
he comes out of a volcano of lava and he throws blocks at you, and you gotta hit the blocks back by spinning.
Oh, no, I remember that. Yeah.
But I think that completely validates your point, is that they're forgettable. Like,
Yeah.
we're describing a boss, and the fact that you don't have that immediate, like, oh yeah, and then he did this, and like, that proves that they were pretty forgettable.
And
I don't
isn't that weird how like King Bum from Mario 64 was like technically a very like simple boss, but we know who he is much
Oh, yeah.
more.
Yeah, I was going to say the
Oh,
same
yeah.
thing. King Babam, you're never going to forget King Babam. King Lakitu, like second boss of Galaxy 2. No one ever remembers he was even there.
I don't even remember King Lakitu.
I'm not even sure who he is.
I remember the Piranha Plant. I remember in Mario Galaxy 2 there was the dragon that would go through the planet that you were on, and that was pretty neat.
So, so you remember Volgaia from Legend of Zelda and
and the
Piranha from
Volgaria
Sunshine.
2.0.
Yeah.
Yes. And then there was
so bosses from other games anyway.
Yeah, there was that beetle at the top of the tree that you had the bee suit on, and you had to like ground pound, and that would like ground him for a little bit. I mean, all the bosses were mechanically interesting, I guess, but like the character, the theme of them were all very bland.
Yeah,
I remember the levels, very vividly, but not the bosses.
I will not forget. The queen bee, because that made me uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
And
I thought she wasn't a boss though. She was just like an NPC, right?
Oh, she wasn't. Yeah, she was NPC, but you had to crawl around her body and like, and it was like, ooh, the tickles. Oh my god, look at my fur rendering.
Look at my firepower dress.
and it was like I wish like you had to put all 4 of those pieces together. All 5 of those star pieces together to jump to the next planetoid to get the star, but it was It was very sexual, I think.
So I will agree with you there. My exception to this point is the actual Bowser fights. Every iteration of Bowser in both games were incredibly fun and memorable and epic, and like that dynamically changing orchestral opera score as the battle wears on is just like ingrained in my memory. And I even remember how to unlock his like boss door. It was so cool. You would finally beat these levels that were all like anti-gravity and you're walking on ceilings and stuff, and some parts were like 2D side scrolly, and you finally got to this one little like castle roof sort of thing, like the top of like a castle wall, and there's this giant like moon rock floating right next to you, and Bowser's boss door is there, and it has like these 3 padlocks, and you had to jump and be absorbed by the gravity of the little mini moon, and then ground pound it at the right angle to send it skyrocketing into the padlocks to break them. And it was just so cinematic and so much fun. And it was just like one of those little touches, like I'm allowing myself to walk through like hell's door to fight this evil monstrosity, and it's like I'm knowingly doing this, and I cannot stop myself.
One thing I definitely agree with is that what you're talking about, the awesome like orchestral scores that were going on during like the boss fights and everything like that. I completely agree, and they sold a music disc only just for the scores in the game, and I totally went out and bought it. And that was one thing I definitely think kind of stands very far apart from this game, is that the music is awesome.
The music is one of the best of any game.
Yeah, it is so awesome.
Okay.
I have it saved on my computer. I listen to it maybe once a month.
There are lots of songs from like Mario Sunshine. There's a couple that are good, but this game is just all hits.
Yeah.
Let me talk some. I enjoy the music, and I think the music is pretty awesome. But as a very serious Star Fox fan, I could not get over the fact like that this game sounded too similar to a myriad of different space themes in Star Fox.
That's interesting.
And I think it shows just how limited Koji Kondo's thematic styles can be when it comes to space, because it just felt like some of these songs belonged in a Star Fox level.
I wouldn't go that far.
That's pretty far.
To
but
disgrace
you can definitely hear themes.
Technical abilities.
You can definitely hear Star Fox in some of the themes, like not the Star Fox theme, but you can definitely feel like the same juice that was used to make the Star Fox songs were made.
Well, yeah.
Used to make the Mario Galaxy songs.
But Koji Kondo didn't even make all of the tracks in Mario Galaxy.
I know, but it's just you can tell which ones he did, and it bothered me.
The ones that weren't John Williams.
I remember reading an interview about the music where I'm blanking on his name, but one of the other like main composers for Galaxy that wasn't Kondo, and he tried his hand at doing the egg Galaxy or whatever, like the very first level, and he kept presenting it to Kondo and Miyamoto, and they're just like, this doesn't capture the epic, fantastical, getting ready to go on this amazing intergalactic adventure vibe that we want. Like, move over, let Koji Kondo just do it himself. And that was the first track of the game was by Koji, and it totally shows, because one of my favorite parts of the entire game, it's not like a specific section necessarily, because it was throughout, but just that feeling of like, this is bigger than me, but at the same time I'm about the size of the planets themselves. Like, it just captured this really great, like, I'm tiny but I am massive at the same time. Everything just felt grandiose and epic, and like this Odyssey, quest. I think the music and the cinematics and all the camera work all should have joined in a harmony to get that effect.
The Mario Galaxy theme is probably it's probably one of the best themes ever made. I love it. I sing it to myself all the time, but it's not as catchy as all the other Mario songs, though.
Well, it's not. I would say it's not as melodic.
I don't think it's meant to be, though.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be like this kind of this background overture.
But it's Mario. You have to have your catchy earworms, or it's not a Mario song. Yeah,
that sounds really stuck in my head now, right?
Yeah, it's not like an earworm song. A Mario song should be.
Yeah, it's not. Every now and then it finds its way in there. It's like when I'm playing Star Fox or maybe even like Ace Combat, it's like it's in there.
Well,
it's like Mario Sunshine, which I actually don't like to think too much about. I don't like the theme of Mario Sunshine very much, but it's still an earworm. I still have it stuck in my head, even though I don't like it too much. Mario Galaxy, I like it, but it's not in my head.
Gusty Wind Garden Galaxy. I butchered that name, but like that track in particular, it's Gusty Garden, Windy City, Chicago, something.
Don't worry, YouTube comments will cover it for us.
All those
yeah,
things.
I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They'll check. Okay, so we talked a lot about the music. I want to talk a little bit about the gameplay. So I think, here we go. Here we go.
Martin, you go last.
There are a lot of parts where they could have screwed up the controls. As obviously, I'm watching this Let's Play while we're talking. There's a lot of going upside down, going on planets, running on discs, all sorts of things. But do the controls ever seem like they get out of hand?
No, best controls of any 3D platformer ever made.
Really?
Next topic.
No, I agree. It's kind of hard to mess up the way Mario moves to begin with, and the way they handled the camera. And I never felt like I was fighting to find out what I was doing or where I was looking at. Like, even during boss battles, where it's more of a fixed camera, like the spatial awareness of where Mario is actually really well done. Like, it's conveyed really well. And that helps.
Well, I think that was the challenge for them for this game is, like, yeah, we kind of nailed the camera in Mario 64 as good as that tech allowed, but now he's upside down and he's behind a freaking moon, and, now he has turned himself into a comet and is rocketing through space at 1,000 miles per hour. It's like, how do we make a camera that is dynamic enough to follow him through all of this madness and still have your thumb on an analog stick pushing in a direction and make it go the direction that you want it to go?
I agree. They did do a good job on that.
Oh, by the way, while you're rocketing through space, don't miss that star!
The star bits!
I hated those stupid little... When you're rocketing through space, it just kind of throws a star at you for you to, like, shake the controller at just right second to go. You have to do the whole thing over again if you miss it.
They normally showed you the trajectory path, though, ahead of time, so you knew that it was coming.
I like the controls, but that is one thing I didn't like, is the shake power and how they made it such a huge deal. And it's kind of like they kind of forced Wii motion into where, like, it really didn't need it,
Yeah,
like
I'll
it was
give
kind
you
of
that one.
It felt like it was kind of slapped on.
I want to kind of bring back up the sacrilegious part, but being able to have a third like mid jump to like save yourself from fuck ups was something I didn't care for either. Like, oh no, you missed a bit short. Oh, shake the controller for an extra like 8 feet of air. It's like, oh come on.
I did find myself using that jump for everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm glad I have this spin. Whoosh.
I don't know. I kind of see that they're messing with that in a sense, but I also see the gameplay complexity and depth that came out of it.
Right.
The kind of challenges and puzzles and obstacles that they now have the ability to put in the game because of that leniency with this sort of freebie jump. Specifically, the levels where the little platforms would reverse every time you shook, or the level with the walls that either retracted or came out every time you shook. And so that, like, it was sort of like rubbing your belly and patting your head at the same time, because you knew that you wanted to jump to this platform, but you also knew that you had to shake and change the way you were jumping to get there. Like, you physically had to do it or it wouldn't work. And I just thought that was a really smart, novel couple of levels that they used it for.
Oh yeah, no, that was really neat. It made you think about your platforming.
Yeah. I like what they did with the shake, like the spinningness. I like the way they did it. I just wish they had a different, like, button or control that would have you do it instead of shaking the Wii remote, because I found myself, like, jumping and shaking and it wouldn't register that I was shaking it. And
it happened to me a lot too.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I shook and I died.
Exactly. I'd shake and I'd get hit by a meteor because Mario wouldn't spin. And I was like, what the hell?
You
like,
just stand there.
Yeah.
Staring up at the meteor like, what is that?
Oh God. Yeah.
And the fact, and for some reason, I don't know what it is, but like everyone's shake is a little bit different.
Oh yeah.
So like when you're trying to show someone, like, okay, you just gotta shake right before it comes in. Like the way they shake their hand, the remote like registers it different. So the delay of your shake is completely different than the delay of someone else's shake, and so you really can't help them. You have to watch them suffer on their own until they find the curve that registers their shake.
Yeah, no, I know what he's talking about too. Different shakes are registered at different time intervals.
Something else I want to move on to. Let's talk about some of the differences between Galaxy 1 and 2. And this is where I think a lot of the controversy is going to come in, honestly.
Okay.
I want to go first. Let's talk. Can I please?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's Talk
Nathan.
Mini podcast right now.
All right, this is the Lutz podcast for the next couple minutes. So, a little background on me. I am a professional game designer. I've been in the industry for 5 or 6 years now, and I'm constantly researching the science and the art and the psychology behind game design. So all that kind of stuff that would be bounced up into that. So like tutorials that aren't an actual tutorial. We've all seen Egoraptor's Mega Man X splooge about the tutorial.
Mega Man.
So, those are called hammer Jews.
So, that kind of stuff is really a hallmark of a good game, and promoting good gameplay patterns and teaching without teaching. So all that stuff. And so for me, the difference between the two games, if you look at it from a development standpoint, I feel like it's everything that a sequel should be if I were in a development studio making a game and then wanted to make its sequel. And so what I mean by that is I'm sure getting all that freaking gravity and physics engine and all the dynamic hammer angles, like all that stuff is a bitch to do. Like I'm sure it was thousands of, man hours and hundreds of people's time to make it all run. And so if you're a level designer for that game, I'm sure that a lot of your levels were not working right until the very last minute. And so you're using a suite of tools that the programmers are handing you to make levels as the programmers are building it, because that's just the nature of game design. So what I think Mario Galaxy 2 was, from my perspective, is the complete suite of tools that the level designers finally had access to. And so that game had the engine, the characters, all the assets, everything done. And so they were like, look, what can we build that's content driven and not feature driven? And we can do it in like a year or a year and a half and just do all the crazy, like, wouldn't it be cool ifs that we didn't have time to do for the first game. And so Mario Galaxy 2 was nothing but just new content after new content, novel ideas. But Mario Galaxy 2 is a level designer's wet dream. They have all the content, all the tools, all the assets, and it's just like, hey, come up with cool shit and then make a game out of it and then ship it. And that's what Mario Galaxy 2 was.
Yeah, by this time they've already figured out the graphics engine, or the more physics engine, really, I guess. I get what you're saying. Yeah, just do it up.
Now, I definitely want to hear Martin's inevitable rebuttal to this.
For those of you not in our Skype call, Martin, while I was talking, sent a image through Skype, and it's a picture of a SpongeBob SquarePants character whispering to another SpongeBob SquarePants character that this is a load of barnacles with an expression of disinterest and utter bullshittery.
Well said.
You just found that picture way after I posted it. I was posting it to the point that you were explaining where you came from and what you were, and you were like grandiosing yourself up, and I thought it was funny. Of like some random dude came out and said, "This is a load of barnacles."
Yeah, it's really funny.
It has nothing to do against your points, because it's everyone knew that Mario Galaxy 2 was like a game that they probably made without Miyamoto knowing, like in this corner. And like during Arts and Crafts Day, they came up to him and said, "Look what we made." He's like, "Oh yeah, totally. Let's make this a game."
So we've got for Arts and Crafts Day the Super Mario quilt, the cape that looks like Yoshi, and oh hey look, Super Mario Galaxy 2.
The thing that ultimately made me I love the games. If you put the game in front of me, I'd play it like without even thinking about it. There's just a few things that bothered me about the games. First off, I'm gonna just get this one out of the way, because it's like really doesn't matter. But the game's called Super Mario Galaxy, and there's UFOs and there's spaceships and there's like all sorts of sci-fi crap in the game. And I was thinking, oh man, they're gonna bring back the Tonga from Mario Land. The UFO that stole Daisy. I was like, Tonga and Bowser team up, and they've taken over the Mushroom Kingdom, and now they're going to take over the galaxy. This is great. And like,
I remember you making this point when we were in college, before the game came out, and you were like, Lutz, I'm going to be so mad if they don't do this. And I'm going to be like, dude, they're not going to do it.
they just like, Bowser has, fucking UFO abducts the princess. And it's a completely separate entity because Bowser's in his airship. And like, it doesn't make any fucking sense to me why they wouldn't bring back the Tonga.
It doesn't make any sense to me either. I
like
the Tonga from the comic books, actually. The Super Nintendo Power comic books. I'm like, oh, sweet.
It legitimately probably just never occurred to them. Like, I don't think someone said, we should do this, and they're like, no, bad idea. I feel like it just didn't come up.
But he was
just never came up.
Not only was he the main boss of Mario Land, which Miyamoto's first Mario game that he wasn't a part of, but he was also a boss of Super Mario Land 2 in Space Zone. So it wasn't granted that was like 20 years ago, but it was.
Maybe that's why Miyamoto didn't put it in. Maybe that's why King K. Rool isn't in Super Smash Brothers, because Miyamoto's like, fuck that guy.
Well,
Donkey Kong Country is an abomination.
Yeah.
But another thing that irked me was that I loved Mario 64, and I liked Mario Sunshine, and the things that I liked about them was the sheer level sizes that they were, and the amount of surface area you had to explore, and the non-linear exploration of the levels that made you feel like you were discovering the levels as much as you were discovering the game. And Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 especially, it felt very, very linear. That you were given a path, and you couldn't stray from that path, and you had obstacles that you could overcome in that path. But as far as where you wanted to go, you had no say in the matter.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Secondly, the surface areas that you have to explore in each level, and each star that you choose for each level, is significantly less than what you were given in any other Mario level, period. I think you had more to explore, I feel like, in terms of surface area in Mario 3 and Super Mario World than you did in Mario Galaxy. And
technically, if you're going to look at surface area, if you're walking around a moon, you have to take that moon's entire surface area and turn it into a flat plane. I'm pretty sure it's a lot of space.
yeah, but there's a bunch of nothing. And then, of course,
I will say, I agree to your point that the Galaxy levels play more like roller coasters than adventures.
Right. And another thing is that the game, it has an optical illusion aspect to it, where you see these planetoids, you see this big, like, space and all those other cool things happening in the level, but it's just an optical illusion because all that is just empty. And those planetoids you do kind of explore, but if you took them all and flattened them out, you'd just see how little there actually is. And those are the big gripes that I was having with Mario Galaxy, is that it just felt small. It felt like it was holding my hand. And in Mario Galaxy 2, where they had some really cool, neato features, it was even more of that. And even though they had all these really cool, tools and really cool features, it's kind of a double standard argument, to be honest. But I feel like they didn't utilize most of what a 3D, how do you explain? What do you call, like, the spherical gravity gimmick? I feel like they didn't use that kind of gimmick enough. Like, there was a lot of time where it was just flat, like just flat and straight, and like every now and then you had the cool thing where you're going around a tube, but it was just flat and straight, and then you'd get into a star jumper, and then you'd go to the next flat and straight point. And,
I am gonna disagree on that.
I felt like there was more of that. Like, there's certainly an awesome set pieces. Like in Super Mario Galaxy 2, you had that, what was it called? There was a level where, like, towards the end, it got to, like, this really crazy, like, tube where, you had a certain path around the tube, and you had to follow it all the way around. But, like, you can also, like, long jump through. If you were good enough, you can long jump.
It was called, Trunks, the Big Trunk something or other, and it had the remix of the Super Mario 64 slide song. And so there were, like, the spiny little bulbous plant things.
Yeah.
And there were wigglers that were moving, like, in the tube. And once you beat the level, there was, like, the green comet coin, whatever the heck one, where you had to get every fucking coin in the tube. Right. And it took, like, 100 tries.
Oh, and then there was a black hole in, like, the center of the tube, so if you jumped too high, you could get sucked into it.
Yep.
Oh, man, that was cool. Like,
there's a ton of set piece moments. I wrote some down, just to remind people of the amount of crazy stuff, in Galaxy 2. And 1, for that matter. So for starters, there was Yoshi, and the whole mechanic of, like, pulling on things and tugging and using him as almost like a slingshot.
Fire peppers. Fire peppers.
Yeah, and the fire peppers that let him defy gravity and run up walls. There was that one ghost level that was like a pop-up book, and you had to follow this little bridge that created itself and then removed itself as you walked on it. And so you would actually move onto different sides of the box that this room was actually forming into, like, a pop-up book. There was the water droplet level, where the water droplets would bounce onto the floor, and it would ripple out and create the world that the level was. And then as the ripple faded, it would shrink and disappear again. There was the food level, where everything, you were with Yoshi, and it was like all the cakes and rice balls and stuff like that.
I hated that one. Like,
I loved that level.
It reminded me of a Mega Man level where the platforms would disappear, as you jumped on them, and then you had to like memorize like, oh god,
Heat Man.
Yeah, like those kind of levels. I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah, well, they did that even more.
In Mario Galaxy 2, I did get every single star. Lee,
good.
If you get Lee back on, he can attest. It's like the first Mario game I was able to get all the stars.
That's good. So there's the level where you turned out the lights were set to the cave theme song, so it was like do 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 do, and then every other do the lights would turn out. And then there's the same thing where they were like green and yellow blocks, and every refrain of the song, the blocks would swap of which one was there and which one was not. There was that tunnel, the slide that you brought up, and you got all excited when I said wigglers.
Yes, I love wigglers.
And then the one of the coolest two for me was the level where there were like the ghost monsters that ate through the floor. And when they chased you, you were literally destroying the ground that you were walking on. So you had to like lure them in paths that didn't eat up too much of the floor. And the other baddest of badass one, it was called like the Lava Monster Galaxy or something like that, where like the Blargs, the big red lava guys, were literally on this planet made of lava, and they would just come out of the planet and like orbit the whole thing to try and eat you as you were bouncing from like tiny little asteroid to asteroid as shit blew up all around you. It was so freaking cinematic, so epic. It was just like one of the all-time high set piece moments for me.
Pirates of the Caribbean, the ride, Mario.
Basically.
You're a little quiet, James.
Sorry.
He was just lost in my words.
Taking this moment to pause. Yeah, I was kind of leaned back. So, what I want to hear from is Scotty, who has not answered this question at all.
I think you both have valid points, and I think you're both so precious and both so
Mom.
Smart.
Thanks, Mom.
You guys are just so smart.
You know what you remind me of?
You're gonna grow up to be the president, all right?
You remind me of the mother from Step Brothers. After the scene where they destroy his boat.
Yeah.
So what is he in the presentation, Mom? So
that was very creative.
I think what you did was very wrong. That being said, I think it was very creative. And then this sets off this huge argument with the father. Like, you're enabling them. This is the shit we don't need.
All right, Scotty, video games. What do you think of them?
I find myself spending a lot of time on them, really. They kind of wow and dazzle on a regular occasion. And then sometimes they wazzle. They full on wazzle me, bro.
Wow.
All
right. I'm so glad your mic was muted. You're contributing absolutely nothing to this conversation.
No, actually talking about the whole linear and non-linear effects of Mario Galaxies is, I played one quite a bit. And I did kind of feel along the lines of what Martin has to say about how it was kind of linear, whereas you finished one little circular plane and then you took a jump start to the next one, which I don't recall, which I would have liked to see is if they had more little moons kind of sitting right next to each other, to where you could run and jump like through open space, and if you got lucky, you'd hit it, and if you didn't, you'd just kind of die.
That did happen a lot, actually. You wouldn't die, but whichever had stronger gravity, you would eventually get pulled to.
And see, that's cool.
Bird style, just flying off.
Yeah, see, I thought that if they incorporated a lot more of that, I thought that would be, it kind of break up the monotony and kind of give it more of an open, like, okay, you're in space feel.
There's no
see. Yeah, I'd make the point though, like both of those types of games can work as successful platformers. I think there's definitely merits for both. I think what having this linear world allows you to do is have more like tightly designed and tuned challenges that really highlight the controls and the platforming. I think you do lose that free-spirited, adventurous, like, well, what the hell's over here? Oh, it's a freaking mumbo jumbo token under the bridge. Like, wow, I never would have found that unless I had been exploring. Yeah, I found a fucking cache of notes over here. Like, yeah, that stuff is missing. And I think those games can be great, a la Banjo-Kazooie. I feel like what Galaxy chose to do, which is a very conscious design choice, was our platforming is super tight, the controls are amazingly responsive, and we want to create these elaborate gauntlets in very small, bite-sized, like 90-second chunks, and then you have the breather before the next one, and it's just like they're beats, they're just moment after moment, and you get that resting period, you get where it's really tense, and it's sort of like almost akin to like a mobile game where it's like 30-second play sessions, 60-second play sessions, and you can stop whenever you want, but at the same time they're so short and they feel so satisfying that you just want to keep like potato chipping until the bag's empty. I think that's what Mario Galaxy's approach was.
And I think
what you just kind of described to me? How Call of Duty has devolved FPS games.
Go on.
That's a whole
you're talking
other
about.
cast.
It's a whole other cast. But basically, you're saying how the controls are great and how and how they make linear levels to create set pieces. So, and then they have breathers in between, and how the loss of exploration is
a casualty.
Yeah, it's a casualty to that effect. The same thing happened that the FPS. You went from Doom and Duke Nukem 3D to open world levels where you had to find the keys and find secret areas.
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye, right? And then you find objectives, or you find secrets underneath the wall or in grades. And then you go to Call of Duty where it's a straight. It's not a straight line, but it's a linear progression through a level that has set pieces that are all inspiring and awesome, but there's something to be lost about it. And the way you were describing it was very reminiscent of what I just said.
Now, I have a counterpoint that I want to bring up.
Counterpoint, bring it.
Okay, so this
Counterpoint.
Counterpoint.
Steven versus Steven.
This reminds me of early Nintendo when they were creating Mario and Zelda, and when they were coming up with game design features, either putting them in the Mario category or the Zelda category.
Right.
Now, I think that this really still carries on today, and they look at the various Nintendo games as all being, almost imagining it as the same franchise, where they want you to buy all of the games. And so you don't see a lot of exploration type stuff in Mario, but you do see a lot of that stuff in Zelda. So I think that, like what Lutz was saying, it's all very intentional, because that stuff doesn't need to be in this game, it's in their other game. This game can be about this, that game can be about that.
Yeah, I think that could be true.
No, motherfucker, it is true. I know.
I was gonna bring up about the linear thing that Uncharted is notorious for that. Like that's what their whole game is, and no one is gonna say like Uncharted is a bad game. Like it may not be some people's favorite, but like that is a super high production value, amazing like set piece, moment to moment game. And they don't need that exploration to be successful.
Well, on that note, Uncharted doesn't have the pedigree of Mario games. It doesn't have a pedigree like Mario does. Mario has a huge library of what Mario is supposed to be, and then there's like this new revolution of what this kind of new Mario games are coming out. With Uncharted, when you have a new IP, you don't have that expectation that Uncharted is supposed to be this way.
Right.
But is
That's
Mario
true.
really that different? I mean, it's always been level to level. There's an overworld, and then there's each individual level, and none of the games seem to break that formula.
I've seen a return to form actually with New Super Mario Brothers and Mario 3D Land and Mario 3D World. Everything's becoming more and more like a traditional platformer, where it's like a side-scrolling adventure, but within like a 2.5D space. But they're just getting easier. That's all it is.
It's just getting easier. I did notice that. I miss Nintendo Hard.
I think that was there. Nintendo Hard was in the Galaxy games if you wanted it. All the side comment missions.
There were some stars where like you just wanted to like rip your pubes out. Like what?
Luigi's the last Luigi star, when you unlock Luigi in the spoiler alert, when you unlock Luigi at the end of the first game and then go through the whole game a second time, the very last star is like it was that giant platform in space where when you spin the platforms change.
The purple coins. Me and Lutz sat down and like we spent a whole day just like pounding out that level. Remember?
Yeah, pounding out our pubes. I remember.
Yeah.
I'm still recovering from that. But like that was seriously one of the most notoriously difficult levels of any modern game, much less game in general. And I think the difficulty was there. I think all the bosses in the Galaxy games were all easy mode, and that was really underwhelming. But the challenge in level design and platforming prowess was there if you wanted to find it.
So do you think that they kind of introduced the hard mode? Like, okay, you beat the game and you got the whole... By this time, you should have a handle on the mechanics. Do you think they introduced kind of the hard mode to the game by letting you play Luigi?
I wouldn't say it's hard mode. I mean, if anything, it's easier as Luigi because he has a better jump.
Doesn't he slide too, though?
He does slide, which makes some levels, like the Purple Comet one, a total pube, whatever you want to call it.
Pulling experience.
A pube puller.
I just forgot what I was about to say.
Well, high five.
No, Nintendo Hard. Nintendo Hard is what we were talking about. I think that the experience was very much confined to just a few levels, and it's a very different trend in video games now where the expectation is if you play the game, you're eventually going to beat it. Where Nintendo Hard was, if you beat this game, you need to go brag about it to your friends because none of them probably beat it.
It's all about trial and error with these older ones. It's
Yep.
something that I've had to relearn recently because I've been trying to go back and play the Mario games. I just keep like rage quitting if I play by myself. But if I play with someone in the same room, I'll keep going. And it's been lately I've been realized, oh shit, I forgot how to play these older games. You weren't supposed to beat them in one sitting. You're supposed to die and get better.
It's supposed to take you a long ass time.
Yeah.
Because back then, frustration was not a sin for game design.
Yeah.
You were allowed to get frustrated. That was part of it.
Yeah, I didn't care for the I have 99 lives at all times.
Oh god, thank you
aspect.
for bringing that up. Why even have a one-up? Why even have lives if you're going to spew one-ups at us for...
Right.
Okay, you get a one-up for every star bit, one-up for every coin. They throw one-ups at you for all the time. You can leave one level with like one life and come out with 15 at the end.
Yep.
Okay, and what happens if you lose them all?
Nothing. You just
Infinite
go back to
you get 5 more lives. Continue.
like, I guess...
Yeah, and then Princess Peach sends you a gift basket with 5 more lives.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I see you actually died for the first time in this 30-hour epic adventure. Better make sure that doesn't happen again. Here's some more.
So,
Like,
the game literally gift wraps lives for you.
Yes, it does. Peach mails you letters from Bowser's Castle and says, "Here are 5 one-up mushrooms."
So not only are you you're being gift wrapped one-ups from the boss of the game.
Is she kind of like smuggling those out? What's that all about?
It's got to be aware that this is happening.
You've played Super Smash Brothers.
Oh,
Where do you think she pulls Toad from? One of those green spores that he's spewing.
I would honestly, at that point, I wouldn't even rescue that. I mean, if she's got green spores spewer down there,
I like to imagine she has permission from Bowser. She's like, "Hey, I'm going to send him some one-ups." Like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's like some sick game they play with each other.
It's seriously, it's like the Venture Brothers Guild of Calamitous Intent. Like they pretend fight, and you've seen nods to this in Super Mario RPG, and especially in some of the newer games like Bowser's Inside Story, where Bowser's like just a slub, like he's not a bad guy, he's just kind of a jerk who is doing his 9-to-5 job, and this is just what he does. Like, he's not evil. He doesn't even really care. He's just like, this is what I'm paid to do. Like, hey, yo, I'm just trying to do my job here.
It's the whole kind of Wreck-It Ralph mentality.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep.
So speaking of that, though, there was one thing I want to bring up just now, starting Galaxy 2 up again and looking at the beginning. It immediately says, so the one event where the stars crash into the planet once every 100 years has happened again. I'm like, wait. So 100 years is fast?
No. Mario Galaxy 2, that's another thing that pissed me off. It's like, here's this awesome story that happened in Mario Galaxy 1. That never happened. This is a retelling of the same story that was given out 2 years ago. It's mechanical. It was Nintendo's way of telling everyone, don't even try to make a canon for Mario like you're doing with Zelda, because there is no canon. It doesn't matter. Every time you get attached to a character, it doesn't matter. Every time you have an event that happens in a video game, it doesn't matter. We're going to reset the button and you're going to deal with it.
Just wait till the game where they actually kill Luigi off and then bring him back in the next game.
Yeah, that's why it's the year of Luigi. They gotta get it all out.
They're gonna kill him off in Galaxy 3.
Yeah, we're halfway through the year of Luigi, and
Dude, it's the green wedding.
What is the year of Luigi anyway? I'm not a big Nintendo
That's the
guy.
question we all ask ourselves sometimes.
It's like apparently.
I asked Luigi in person, and he told me.
He told you the secrets.
Yes.
Okay.
You're
Like,
good first.
out of nowhere, Iwata comes out and pulls like this phrase out of his ass. Like, this year is the year of Luigi, and we
at
cannot
Nintendo.
wait at Nintendo, and we cannot wait to share Luigi's adventures with you in the future. And it's
Well,
like,
please be patient.
please be patient while we have no Luigi games for the next 7 months.
It's the year Luigi, and then it all happens in like the last 3 months.
starting with Luigi's Mansion 2 was when the year of Luigi actually started, and that was like last month. And they've just been like playing up this whole like Luigi aspect all year long.
Well, there's Luigi's Dream Team and Luigi's Mansion 2, and there's like some downloadable e-content.
Yeah, that Luigi's thing, which you can buy in GameStop or just download it. I'm like, do I want the box?
Yeah.
It's $10 more to buy it in the store, by the way.
Yeah, New Super Luigi 2. Or New Super Luigi.
85 new levels, though. That's like, gotta be twice the content of Galaxy 2.
I haven't tried it yet, but I hear that game's pretty intense because every single level starts at 99 seconds. And you have
What?
Yeah, every single level starts at 99 seconds.
Wow.
I'm gonna get it.
So I legitimately asked Luigi in person what he thought of the fact that he did not make an appearance in Super Mario RPG, other than like, I didn't mention this, but he does show up in Mario RPG in like a bed or something, and he's dreaming, and you can like walk in on him or something. But I asked Luigi at E3 what he thought of this, and his response was, "Papa knows best. I only appear in the games that he thinks I belong in, and I love him so much. I'm not mad at my brother for being in more games than me, because I get to be in the games that my papa thinks I fit best in."
It's a Mama Luigi.
Kind of reminds me of, like that guy in the Goonies who they chain him to the chair. They're making it sound like Luigi's that guy. Like they let him out. Yeah, they let him out, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I guess we can let him out."
I've heard that Luigi's more popular in America than in Japan.
Is he?
I don't know.
Japan's pretty fucked up because Tingle is like the most popular character over there.
Wait.
Like Tingle got his own fucking video game over there.
Are you kidding me?
No, it's called Tingle's Rosie.
Tingle's Penis Adventure.
It's called Tingle's Rosie Rupee Land Adventure or something like that, where he has to harness the power of rupees and it turns into a shmup. I'm not fucking kidding you. It's a Zelda thing.
I know.
I'm having a hard time believing this.
Look it up.
But then they get rid of the Tingle tuner for the Wind Waker remake.
I know. I was so mad. I was nudging Lee. I'm like, Lee, look, they're gonna unleash the new Tingle tuner. Here is a bottle that you could use to talk to people. It's like,
oh my god, Martin, your fanboy is showing so hard right now.
I was so pissed. Like,
no Tingle tuner? Fuck you, Reggie Fils-Aimé. You're ruining my childhood.
Dude, I fucking okay, me and Sarah, Tingle Tuner, all the fucking, all day long, every day. And fucking Tingle Tuner was like the best thing ever. And then when me and Josh Armanick played through Wind Waker, he wouldn't play without the fucking Tingle Tuner.
Name dropping.
I'm telling you right now that getting rid of the Tingle Tuner was the dumbest thing ever when it was specific, the Wii U pad was the natural evolution of the Game Boy Advance link-ups that they were just trying to shoot. Just makes me mad. And it's like they were so ashamed of the quote-unquote failure of the inclusion of this Game Boy Advance connection to the GameCube that they skipped it with the Wii and the DS, even though the main contention point was that everyone had to have the cable. Everyone had a Game Boy Advance. Everyone had a GameCube. But no one had the cable. But now that everyone has a DS, everyone has a Wii, we don't want to do that connectivity except for Pokemon Coliseum.
This is a great Mario Galaxy talk we're having right now.
I'm sorry. I'm just... you press the button, Lutz.
Okay, here.
You did this to me.
James, do you mind if I rein this in? Reel in Martin?
Reel it in.
Reel and rain? Alright. So, this is my final death blow to Martin and his wrongness. Alright? That's how we're gonna end this podcast.
We're gonna go
Yes.
for it.
So I'm not one to like have super high stock in these things, but I do think it is a point worth making. Metacritic.com has Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 as the third and second highest reviewed game of all time, respectively. Mario Galaxy 2 having the same score overall, but still being placed higher on the list. The only game that beats it is GTA 4. So the fact that both Mario Galaxy games in a franchise are back-to-back the second and third highest rated games of all time, I think just speaks volumes to the reception that it received by critics and journalists and the media as a whole. And I think that is worth mentioning.
So what you're saying is...
I also think it's worth mentioning that even though I understand that everyone liked it, and I liked it too, that you're basing these Metacritic scores during a time when reviews and review sites are notoriously unreliable.
It says the podcast. So what you're saying is, in order for Super Mario Galaxy to continue forward and do better, what it has to implement is Super Mario Galaxy 3 must somehow implement Mafia and prostitutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. That sounds good to me.
You
Star
think you're
Jack.
joking, but Mario Galaxy 3 is probably going to happen.
Dude, it'll be the Queen Bee, but after she's had a bikini wax. And you gotta climb right on back on that.
Full circle.
Gotta get that honey.
So, final verdicts. Is Super Mario Galaxy 2, what we see is a trend of someone has completed a game, everything's been polished, and the developers wanted to continue the game further and really, work with a completed tool set to create something what they feel was more complete. Should other game developers in the future follow this trend of creating a version 1 and then a version 2?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It completely depends on the experience. If it's a story-driven or narrative-driven game, then no. You tell the story and you confine it to the world that you have let it live in. If it is more abstract and is more level-based, Scribblenauts, I think, is another great example of a game that a game series that's doing this. I even think Banjo-Kazooie, to some extent, back in the day, did this. You have this amazing engine or this super novel, complicated, hard-to-do thing, like defining every word in the English language and associating it with a freaking art asset. But once you do that, like, hell no, you're not going to just kill it off after one game. Like, you build off of that, and that's when the creativity really starts to come out. And I can actually relate to this for one of the games that I made called Tiny Heroes. We had to pull support from it after it had gotten released because it didn't do as well as we had anticipated. And so we wanted to be feature-driven, which requires a lot of dev time. And so since we couldn't afford that luxury, we had to sort of swap to a content-driven model, which was essentially me using the level editor to just make as much unique content as possible. And so I somehow had to find a way to make that work. And what ended up happening to me is I had more fun and had such a suite of much better ideas than I had in the year that the game was being developed. And it took me a couple of weeks to come up with this stuff. And because I had the whole kit, all the tools at my disposal, I knew the limitations, I knew what had been done and what hadn't been done. And it allowed me to make way better and crazier levels than I ever could have. And so I think if you're a successful game franchise and you have a world that kind of relates to that, or can really take advantage of it, then yeah, you go for it. Because I think you're going to have tighter gameplay and better gameplay overall.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up. Any final words?
No,
I think
everyone said their piece, and I think everyone respects everyone's opinion, and everyone came out a better person.
Until the YouTube comments come out.
Except for me.
Until the YouTube comments.
You polar. All right, so wait, hold on. Memes from this episode. We've got Pube Polar, We have
Get that
we
B-Rex.
have that beat gat. Gotta get that honey.
Gotta get that, honey.
A load of barnacles.
Loads of barnacles.
And level designer's wet dream, I think, at some point was mentioned.
I still think...
Oh, and Iwata impressions.
Yeah, Nintendo. We appreciate your patience.
Oh god. Awesome. Alright. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up with that. So I want to remind everyone, like, comment, subscribe. This has been Super Mario Galaxy Chat. Actually, the 9 Players Cast. Remember, you can email into the show by writing into squad9.tv@gmail.com or player9show@gmail.com. I'll check either one. And there's Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff is on the description below. So check it out. If it's on iTunes, then go look this stuff up on YouTube, man. Come on.
Look it up.
Yeah, send
Type
emails. We need to read vapid reader email.
Yes, because I will read these emails on the show if they're remotely good.
I
They don't
need
even have to be great.
validation. I need validation from anonymous third-party sources that I'm better than
Exactly.
most people.
Validate me now.
I feed off of that energy I needed to live.
That's right.
Please tell me I'm good.
Email the show. Tell us we're bad. We'll read it.
Just something. Just acknowledge this.
Just acknowledge us.
God.
We've gotten good feedback so far, and I've definitely appreciated that. Buyer's recommendation, Mario Galaxy 2, we don't make recommendations. So everyone keep your
We don't.
opinions. No, we don't.
Just get out of here.
I've heard.
I've only been gushing about the game for an hour, but yeah, don't buy it.
Don't buy it. Just go buy Super Mario Brothers Wii U. Much better.
If you buy this game, you should be playing video games.
It seems that Martin has now walked away from the mic, thrown it across the room, and then started talking to it.
Oh, sorry. I said, I said that if you have to be recommended to buy this game, you shouldn't be playing video games.
No kidding.
I had to be recommended to it.
Yes.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, get out. Next time on 8 Players Podcast.
All right. So, final thing is tangents. Anyone have any nice tangents? Actually, the one thing I did ask.
I ran out of tangents during this.
Ran out of tangent. Kickstarters. I asked about Kickstarters last time in between casts. So during all the footage, all the audio rather that we lost for the Mass Effect cast, we're asking about Kickstarters. Anything good coming out?
Okay, I was a huge proponent. Like when Tim Schafer came out with that Kickstarter, and everyone jumped on board within the first few hours. I called up James and I told him, James, something amazing is happening, and it's going to be changed. Do you remember James? You just vouch for me. I called him and I told him this is going to change everything, and it did. There's a huge revolution of gamers coming out of the woodworks and paying for games to people and cutting out the middleman. And the one thing I was worried about is Tim Schafer is notoriously unreliable when it comes to making his deadlines. And I was like, he is the poster child for this success, and he cannot fuck up. And he is fucking up, and it's making me so mad.
What is he fucking up about? I'm like in the dark. I can't remember names at all.
He wanted to make a game for $400,000. Okay, a point-and-click adventure game, right? And $100,000 was going to go to a documentary crew, and $300,000 was going to go to make the small point-and-click game. He got $3.3 million. So his scope expanded, and he made a bigger game, and he overreached very, very, very much. He took the $3.3 million that he got, and he went over budget. And now he's tried to make up some of the money that he needs by re-releasing Brutal Legend on Steam, by the Hundle indie bundles, but it's looking like he's going to need to come up with some other sort of income to make this game.
Oh, I want to cut in real quick. Just as you mentioned Brutal Legend, the Brutal Legend copy I stole from you 8 years ago, I still have that, by the way.
Yes. Yes. And that was a game that I couldn't appreciate at the time because of various emotional distress I was going through. But I plan on going back and playing it again.
I don't have anything to say about it.
But as
Martin, you can borrow my copy. PS3 has no games.
As much as I'm mad at Tim Schafer, there's a bunch of other Kickstarter projects that are coming through, like Star Citizen, which I actually went to the dev studio in Austin during their live stream, and when I was there, and I got to see all sorts of cool stuff. And I got to talk to Chris Roberts and all sorts of cool things. And so, there's tons of, yeah. And there's other Kickstarter games that are coming through, like,
well, now it's Lutz's turn.
Okay, sorry. I was just
now there's a bunch of other Kickstarter games that are coming out, like, oh, hey, it's my turn to finish your sentence, because I know that what you were about to say was Pixel Press. Pixel Press is a local game to, well, actually...
I wish I had Pixel Press when I was a kid.
Yeah, I do too. Actually, it's now local to none of us because none of us live in St. Louis anymore. But it's still my hometown, and so a St. Louis developer who has absolutely no professional training or experience, he just sort of showed up and was like, I'm going to make a video game about making video games, and then he just did it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh,
so the idea is that you print out the special graph paper that has like kind of like printer looking like colors and lights and diodes on it that matches up to your camera. And so when you print out the paper, you draw a 2D platforming level on it. And when you finish, you take a picture of it with your iPhone or Android or whatever it is, and it immediately recognizes the level that you built, and then it transfers it in like a matter of 3 or 4 seconds to a real life video game that you can then play on your mobile device. And it has tons of customization. One of my friends is actually in the works right now to do a level pack. It's essentially a sprite sheet, because the idea is that, similar to Little Big Planet, people will be submitting their levels, and people will also be able to submit sprite sheets. So you can change things like the walls, if it's lava, if it's water, if it's a thicket, whatever it is, the background, the character, their run animation, their jump animation, whatever your version of coins are. And so you can just mix and match these things to make a totally unique 2D platforming game. And so that is being built right now, and I think it's coming out in December.
It's amazing. I want it so bad.
It does. It sounds pretty awesome.
I'm going to go ahead and plug my Kickstarter that's been funded, but they're in the alpha now. Planetary Annihilation. It's going good places. They're actually updating a lot, and
I can't get the alpha to work properly on my computer.
You can't get the alpha to work?
I'm
enjoying
it. I can turn it on and I can play it, but it freezes every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Sup, dudes?
And then now Lee's here for the end of the cast.
Hey, yeah. Lee. Hey, Lee, is Super Mario Galaxy a good game?
Fuck no. Get out of my face.
Wow.
And that's how we end it. Boom.
This podcast is over. Everything I've worked towards for the last 90 minutes, you've destroyed in a single sentence.
That's how I roll, baby. I'm out.
All right. This is Lutz signing off.
All right. I'm Martin. I'll talk to y'all later.
Sex Panther out, I guess? Shit, man.
Sex Panther in.
Yes.
Lee signing out.
Lee, you weren't even here.
The fuck
Shut up. I can be here all I want. I was just listening in. How about that?
It's less like we're having like a civilized conversation, like drinking tea, and then like you're the gardener outside, and like you peep into the window, you have something to say. You're like, "Fuck you, get back to work."
Get back to work, help.
I'll end it with, I'm Player 9, and I've got something to say. Bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-ba-ba.
You should just put that up.
Why was that Castlevania? Why wasn't that Mario Galaxy? Why would you do Castlevania? I don't understand.
Sometimes some crimes go slipping through the cracks, but these two gumshoes are picking up the slack.
I can't let you do that, Mario.